Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas.
I need to write a song. Everything is problematic.
This is Emsolation.
Because I have to find a way to dump the bodies.
I mean, do you think there's a universe where you could be rewarded with $100,000 for not having sex? I would have been making bank.
If you're listening now and you're in Melbourne and you're not wearing a mask, you can't be friends with Michael and I. I'm sorry, you're out.
You're in Emsolation.
What an episode. Wow. Hello and welcome to this very special edition, second Q&A. Q and yay, Mr. Q and gay.
I like it how
Michael
it evokes the ABC panel show, and then in the end it's us joking about jizz.
Pretty much. I mean, you know, but I'm sure people wouldn't be opposed to the Q&A panel show descending to jizz chat. May as well sometimes, to be honest. The last one was wildly popular, so we went into another one. We got a lot of questions through. Thank you so much. Some from our patrons, some from Instagram, some from email. We'll get straight into the first one. And I have to say, Michael Lucas, this particular question was asked a disturbing amount of times. Yes. I don't know why. It's weird. Okay, people asked specifically, let's see, what's the worst? From Megs Kirby on Instagram. Hello, Megs. What's the biggest fight you've ever had? And we did tease this on Thursday's episode. We teased.
So inappropriately, considering. Anyway.
We've never had a fight.
No.
We've never. In 30 years of friendship, admittedly 10 years apart.
But that wasn't due to a fight. That was just
life.
Yeah, life. She left school.
I did. I left the school.
It was
left
before
the
the internet, so it wasn't that easy to stay in touch. We just drifted away and then came back together again.
Which for you is not a big deal because you've been married. You've been with your partner for over, 12 years? How long have you and Adrian been together?
Yeah, it's 12 years now.
12 years and you've never had a fight. Scott and I
we did have the fight about Madonna.
All right, that's not a fight. And I was involved in that. And you fought because of me. So that doesn't really count at 15 levels. But I've been with my husband 20 years and I can say we haven't had a fight this hour. I am the combative one of the two of us, although I'm much more adverse to confrontation than I used to be. I used to kind of thrive on it. And now I do actively try to find ways to diffuse it, but that's just maturity. Why do you think we've never had a fight in 30 years? Touch wood too. God, we don't want to invoke the universe to send us one.
Well, the thing I think we've got to clarify is we do have disagreements about things all the time, but I think it's just we like it when we're disagreeing about things.
Yeah, we do. Because I always learn things from you. For me, I never ever in our friendship, I know that you love me and I know that you respect me and we just have this baseline of understanding that there's complete safety with the other and you've seen the dark underbelly of my psyche and you still want to be my friend and you still... And you also, I think, secretly love the dark underbelly side of me. I think it entertains you to no end. Whenever you disagree with me, I don't take it personally. I don't feel attacked. I don't feel threatened or undermined. I know that you genuinely have – it's not personally driven. I don't know. I just feel safe with you. I feel my emotions are safe with you. I know you would never trample on them. So for me, that's why whenever we disagree, I kind of enjoy it and I see it as a chance to kind of exercise my brain and hear a different side. But also fundamentally, you and I are very similar in our upbringings and our tastes and our likes and dislikes too. That's the other thing.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly, that you're a lot more unfiltered, but I've always liked that because I was a timid sort of a person. I mean, it's so complicated because there's ways in which you are timid and nervous that might be hard for people to understand, but I know that that's true. But then there's other ways.
What do you mean?
There's ways that you can feel social anxiety.
People don't realise that.
The weird thing is, if we're going to a party, I'm going to be more comfortable than you are.
100%. If you see Michael Lucas at a party, if you peer behind him, generally that's where I'll be.
Yeah, and I'm going to be less comfortable being on stage in front of 3,000 people talking about blood clots coming out of my vagina. So we just both have different things.
I admire your ability for small talk, for actively engaging and seemingly being interested in people's tiny talk, whereas I'm a person that likes to start a conversation right in the middle, which I think is very Italian of me also. I feel sleepy and anxious when people kind of ask questions like, oh, how have things been? And I'm like, oh, God. I mean, that's true. I'm very drawn to your measuredness and your ability to remain calm when things are just fucking hitting the fan too. But then I also know the other side of that. You have immense anxiety when you put things out into the world, like I do.
Oh, totally. And there's also been times like there's been key junctures in my career where something's been heading down a path that I'm not comfortable with, but I feel like I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm going to keep on going with it. And then M is that voice that says, nah, you're not into it. Pull out. Don't do it. Pull out. Do it.
I do.
Yeah. And I really value that, because if I was just left to my own devices, I probably would dutifully, like the good little schoolboy that I am, just continue going, even though I know it's a disaster and I don't believe in what I'm doing.
I can confidently say, if it wasn't for me, your tombstone will read died of duty. Like 1,000,000%. Because you do. And I think your husband's the same. He and I are very similar in this regard, in that if he or I feel instinctively that someone's trying, you allow people to take advantage of you. You're much better at it, but you do. And if he and I get a sense of that, the shield, the big Italian fucking shoe-loving emotional shield, we go around you, we put our fists together and like Wonder Woman, and we activate it and we get really cross with the person. But I specifically remember a situation, and I won't go into it, don't panic, where you were in a meeting and you excused yourself and you called me and you're in tears. And I remember just going TED Talk on your ass and being like, how dare they? You go back in there and this is what you say. Like I feel like the reason we never fight is because we do weirdly, and not sounding twee, complete the bits of each other that are lacking. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very proud of our relationship. I can't say that there are too many other, I mean, you have plenty. There are not many relationships in my life where I can say there's never been a fight.
And also, it's not fighting is not necessarily something to aspire to. Particularly, I think not fighting is great as long as you're not repressing anything. And you probably gathered we're not repressing anything.
We don't repress. Like, Michael will text me something and I'll be like, oh, that is bullshit. Like, come on, mate. And he'll do the same back with me. Oh, I don't think so. So our relationship is resilient and robust and able to withstand strong disagreements, and we have them. I mean, sometimes you hear them on the podcast.
Yes. I'm really sorry there's not a better answer. It couldn't have been, well, there was that night, the night before my wedding, and I walked in and there was Em and Adrian. What was going on? Nothing like that said, Matt. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said.
All right. Moving on. The next question comes from Burnt Post. At Burnt Post, what advice would you give your teenage self, Michael Lucas?
You're gay. Well, it's pretty easy. You might be on the brink of spending a solid 10 to 12 years sorting this shit out. Just trust me. Go. Just look into it. Just look into it. Open up to it. See what happens. Don't shoot it down. Just go with it. Just trust me and go with it. You'll save yourself some time, and your 20s might be a lot more fun. That's probably, that'd be the most practical advice that I would give. That, and if invest in Facebook or something like that would be.
Oh my God.
It's not invented yet, but when it is,
you're gay and invest in Facebook.
What would your advice be to yourself? Yours would be so much more inspirational, I can tell.
No. My advice would be, you're not stupid, even though you feel stupid. You're not. You just have a few learning difficulties that are yet to be diagnosed. And who you are is going to give you a career in the end. Because I spent so many nights, so much time of my teenage years feeling like I was a bad person, or that sometimes I felt like I was too many people stuffed into one body. Like I honestly bounced off walls with all the energy I had and all the ideas I had, and I was constantly, from the very first memory I have is being shushed as a kid. So I think I would tell her, one day you'll be on stage, people want you to be loud, they want you to be the biggest version of yourself, and that's okay. Because God, and also to appreciate your body. You have a hard, amazing, muscular, taut, fantastic body that you are very hard on. And one day you're going to be honestly having to tuck your stomach into a pair of Nancy Gants to put on a pair of tracksuit pants. And so I just want to say to you, young Em, God, love the six-pack. Enjoy the high tight ass. Enjoy the breasts that stand on their own. You enjoy your body. because
I too would go back to me at any age up until about 33 and be saying it's just you're constantly feeling ashamed of your body or worried about it or anxious about it. This is peak, mate. What are you
You've
thinking?
heard me say
You're gonna
that to my daughters.
Look back on pictures of yourself and go, my God.
Yes. I constantly say to my kids, sometimes my 18-year-old comes out and she's like, oh, I don't think I can wear this. And I'm like, babe, this is peak, okay? I want to tell you right now, you can wear it. Wear less. Don't even worry about it. You can do it. If you're worried you can't do it, I'm here to tell you, you can. Because I would say any teenager, male or female, and if you've got a teenage kid, remind them, you're going to look back and miss this body that didn't make 50 noises when you bent down. And so many people said it to us, appreciate it, but you don't. You don't appreciate it.
No.
So I would definitely, and my body did so many amazing things. I was an athlete and a dancer and I did so many great things, but at the time I was so mean to my body. Sometimes I wouldn't put food into it for days because I was trying to, get down to a certain weight to race, and I would batter it around and I wouldn't care for it, and I regret that.
My body did less great things, but it still did the job. Most of the time.
Okay, I love this question because you have an answer. This is from Alexandria Bartley. The worst date you've ever experienced?
Was with my husband.
Yeah, tell it. I love this.
Well, it was sort of getting close to critical. Like we'd had sort of a date. We were sort of at that threshold. I think it was like second or third date where it's kind of like, unless action's happening now, we're just going to drift into being friends. So it was a must progress sort of situation. And unfortunately, I woke up and I had really bad hay fever and I just had really itchy eyes and I couldn't stop sneezing and kept rubbing my eyes and I was desperate. And so I went to my housemate and asked if she had any she had all the medication in the world. She was amazing. She was a chemist. And so she gave me some Phenergan, which I'd never taken before. And so
Really?
Never taken it.
My mum used to put that in my bottle as a kid.
To make you go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I took one and thought, it's not doing anything. And I took another one and it had the most intense sedative effect. Like it was crazy. Like I remember I just barely set the alarm and then fell asleep. Then the alarm went off and it was like coming out of a tomb. And I had to contact Adrian and say, I still made myself go. I made myself go. We were meeting at the Opera Keys in Sydney and I said, I'm still coming. Just so you know, I have had an overdose of antihistamines. I may not be able to stay long, but please know that I want to be there. He was responding going, oh, okay, sure, see you there. And I could just feel him thinking, what a fucking excuse. At least have the dignity to make up something plausible. Don't say a fucking overdose of antihistamines. And I went and I just spent the whole time going, I'm not kidding. It's just I really can barely keep my eyes open. I want to stay. I really, really want to stay. Let's do another day. And then he sort of bought it, I think. And then I went and then hopped on the train and fell asleep on the train and went to the end of the line. It was And then Offspring came along and I wrote a whole episode about Nina overdosing on antihistamines when she had to meet Dr. Chris, who was played by Don Honey. So I turned it into art in the end. That was by far my worst date, except for, of course, all the other dates, like my expeditions into online dating early on where you just rock up and be like, oh, my God, there's nothing here. And you knew it within 30 seconds and you still had to, get through the date. They were pretty bad. You, Em?
I've only been on one date, and that was with my husband.
Oh, God. I mean, congratulations.
We had our first date. It took him a year to ask me out. It took him a year, honestly. It was just exhausting. And then he took me to Revolver in Melbourne, which was an odd choice. But he liked the Thai restaurant that many people know. So Revolver, if you're not from Melbourne, is generally where you go at 6 a.m. after a big night out to continue on. And a lot of illicit substances will have been taken and it's dark and the floors are sticky and they play soft music. So it's a recovery joint. But also, weirdly, has an amazing Thai restaurant attached to it. So Scott took me there and I was halfway through a conversation and he just kissed me, like he'd obviously not been listening, rude, and building up to it. And then he stayed with me that night at my friend Alex's place where I was staying for a bit, and that was it.
That was the night Chella was conceived. Actually, no, but you know what? Not too far off.
Actually, it was about 3 months later from that night. And look, first time I'd I slept with him on the first date too. That's the first time I'd ever done that. But it just all, the planets aligned. Oh, God, I'm feeling less angry towards him now talking about.
Oh, that's
Maybe
lovely.
That's a key, isn't it? When you're feeling really, like we've been together a very long time. When you're feeling, I think it helps to remember the reasons why you fell in love with your partner in the first place. I think that helps you kind of feel warm towards them, but then sometimes those reasons develop into the reasons you don't like them. So you've got to be very careful there.
Luckily, his commitment to Revolver wasn't something that became a feature of the relationship. Do you know the weird thing is this year in Five Bedrooms we're writing Kat Stewart's character and her best gay friend. We're writing the story about how they're both pushing each other out to go dating together, and they're both sort of each other's wingman. And a couple of people attached going, "Oh, did you and Em do this once?" And I wish the answer was yes. But we didn't because Em has been married the entire time. She gave me some dating advice, but we unfortunately I was not able to reciprocate, and I fear I never will be able to. That's depressing, but no, it's good. It's good.
Well, anyway. So, question.
That was a ... wasn't it? Anyway.
Look, who knows? Shelley from Instagram asks, Michael, are you ever involved in casting your shows, i.e. Billy, in brackets, also known as M, in brackets?
Well, I am normally. I have to say, in that case, no. Offspring, I came on, the pilot had already been made, so I inherited a cast. I certainly involved myself in future casting discussions on that show, and now with my own shows. Yeah, oh my God, casting's everything. So I'm all over it. It's the most critical stage. Get that wrong.
Yes. So true. And you were involved in casting Five Bedrooms. You've got a new show starting on the ABC as well, which we haven't even spoken about, how you've got a whole show that you've conceptualised, that you've written, that has been picked up by the ABC, that's going to be
casting
filming
it right now.
And how would you describe the two leads in the show? What would you say? Who would you say they're fucking based on, and whose life now has had to go through another mining?
No, look, it is set in the 1980s, and it is set in the world of commercial news in the 1980s. And look, sure, is there a closeted gay diligent reporter? Maybe. And is there a very fiery star newsreader who is struggling with being labelled difficult in the workplace? Maybe. I mean, but I think when you see it, we're not going to want to draw too many parallels. Just trust me.
I know. I'm scared. People are going to think this is genuine.
Well, hopefully the fact that it's a period piece. I know. Well, exactly. Well, you've brought it up.
Oh, babe, I think people are going to see, Michael Lucas wrote this show, and then see the two main characters and go, oh, fuck, it's Em and Michael. So I just hope you've kept that in mind when you're writing some of the scripts, which I haven't read yet. Oh, Jesus, what have you done?
No. Anyway, let's move on. But yes, I am heavily involved. Yeah. And I love that process, because for me, the reason why I like writing TV better than films is because with films, you finish the script and then you cast it and then you make the film. But with TV, the joy is you cast it and then it's like you're in a dance with the cast and you see what they put out and you think, what are the best moments that I'm going to give. But when the secret answer to this, which I don't think is entirely professional, is that... Are you going to reveal
the secret answer? Oh, I didn't think you would. Okay, go.
Em is also at times involved in my casting process, because not in necessarily the early stages when it's a big pull, but when I'm on the brink of deciding if I'm going to completely back a particular candidate, there's two people that I often show, my mother and Em, because they both have very instant gut reactions to things that I kind of trust. And so I always feel a little bit better if I know that if I show it to Em, like within seconds, she's just going to be like, yep, or nah. And she doesn't need to, it's not even necessary that she's read the project or anything like that. It's just a gut reaction to what she's getting out of that person on screen. And often I hanker for that stamp.
But to be fair, you will send me, say, a photo of a prospective love interest and it'd just be like, would you fuck him? Like sometimes you do just want my visceral, loin-driven, middle-aged female reaction, because you write for women between the ages of 25 and 50.
That's true.
Or even older, 60.
Yes.
So you do want to know that my loins are afire for a particular cast person.
Yes. Oh, exactly. And I remember vividly when we had at this point cast Madeline Neves, and obviously at that stage, it's weird to think about it now. At that stage, we were nervous because Don Honey was not in Offspring.
As Patrick, yep,
yes, Don Honey was not in season 2 of Offspring, and so it was a really big task to think how could we replace him. And we felt very confident about Matt, but there was one time when he just started shooting. It was really early on, and for some reason, Em came into the offices because we were going out, and so I decided to show her a frame, kind of hoping that the worst thing would have been if she looked at it and went, oh God, this is the new Doctor. But what happened was she saw it and she propelled herself back against the wall as though a truck had driven her into the wall, and then slid down to the floor and went,
From memory, it was he'd just gotten out of the shower.
No, it was when it was even weirder than that. He was being stitched up.
It was a topless scene.
He'd been in a fight, and she was stitching his head, and I showed you that, and it was a one-word response that came with an extraordinary action, and I remember thinking we're on a winner. I kind of knew that anyway, but it was just good to have that confirmation, and so I have instituted that process ever since.
Yeah, so any prospective actors out there, you better be nice to me. You just never know. You never know how involved I am in the casting of a role you're going for, of a Michael Lucas picture.
Because it's hugely unprofessional to do that. But anyway, it's only very limited. It's like family, so it's not, anyway.
Yeah, everyone does it. Let's do a couple more. What's your favourite movie quote / line? This is from Sheza. What's your favourite movie quote, Michael Lucas?
My favourite movie quote is from the film Broadcast News, which is a rom-com of the 80s with Holly Hunter, and Joan Cusack, who is a goddess, is in it.
Goddess.
And I love Holly Hunter's character as the absolute workaholic, and there's this bit where I don't know, all their work at the newsroom's coming to an end, and so Joan Cusack decides to say something meaningful and encouraging to Holly Hunter, and she goes, "Except for socially, you're my role model." And I've always loved that line. It's so simple. And Holly Hunter just goes, "Thank you."
Except for socially, you're
my role model. I love that line.
Okay. Well, mine is from the movie Steel Magnolias. And there's so many great quotes in that movie. Honestly, this was very tough to narrow down because, honestly, every line in that movie is a classic. But my favourite line, and I put it in my autobiography, I've said it many times, come from Dolly Parton, where she says, "Laughter through tears is my favourite emotion." That's my favourite.
Beautiful accent work, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But that movie, there's so many in Beaches too, also, the greatest love story of all time, Beaches.
Yes.
But yeah, if I had to pick one, but I do, those two movies, God, they're good. They're so good.
We haven't done Steel Magnolias in a while. I really feel like we need to sit down.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
In fact, have we ever together sat down and done a screening together? We certainly have with Beaches. And we've done it with League of Their Own. But I don't think we've done Steel Magnolias because often it comes up. And actually, Chella has a resistance to watching it because of the tragedy.
Yeah, she does. She hasn't watched it. But I made Scott watch it. And I also made Scott watch Beaches. So I sat Scott down. I said, you have to watch this. And so I sat there and I watched him. I didn't watch the film because I know it we're perfect. So I just sat and watched him watch Beaches. We got to the end of it and he looked at me and he said, "So much of you makes sense to me now." And I have never been more attracted to my husband ever in 20 years. And I've never felt more seen than when after he watched CC Bloom, Bette Midler, in Beaches, turn to me and say, "I now understand you better." I've never felt more seen by my husband in my life.
Did he crack out a tear when The Wind Beneath My Wings started to play?
He was moved. He was moved by that. He laughed a lot at Bette Midler. We've been watching so Scott and I find it hard to find shows that we watch together, but I dragged him into The Politician season 2, which he's loving. And he loves the Judith Light, Bette Midler combination.
Bette Midler also a nominee for the Emmys.
Oh, thank God.
From our last podcast. I'm really bad at that. Anyway.
I love Bette Midler. I mean, her career is something I aspire to. I feel very connected to her and her performance style. And her role as Hadassah in Politician season 2 she has the best lines. She was cherry-picked. The lines that come out her mouth are astonishing.
Oh, she's the genius. And even it was so evident back in Beaches and even before. Like the hungover, I went for a swim. in the Central Park boating ponds with my real friends.
With my real friends. I just, she's so good. If you haven't watched A Politician, you need to watch it. It's so camp. But season 2 especially, I don't think it's been given the kudos it deserves. It is lightning writing. They must have got someone new in. The writing is insane. It is so savvy and smart. And also, it's almost folds in on itself. It's so self-aware. It's just you haven't watched it, have you? You haven't watched.
No, I've watched the first couple of episodes. I know.
You've got to wait. Hadassah gets a boyfriend, and the throuple explodes, and it is just. And there's so much for women over 60. These two actresses get the starring roles, and it is refreshing. Let me say.
I love what a good era this is for Bet. I love it. She's all over Twitter. She's slagging off Trump. She's exactly what I want for Bet in her 70s.
All right, let's end this on a controversial question, actually. Best pop diva, and it can't be Madonna from Liam Burke. Liam Burke has banned us because he knew that we would probably both say Madonna because we need to do a whole episode that's just about Madonna.
Finally, yeah. It might be a 6-parter, but or a 6-hour episode.
People don't realise you have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything about her, and I just have a general obsession and convinced that she's actually my biological mother. Sorry, Jenny. So much so that I wrote her a letter that I then read out loud at a Women of Letters event and was published in a book. So it's really out there for everyone to see.
But we can't make this about Madonna. We can't.
No.
Liam
very specifically said it cannot be Madonna. Who is the best pop diva? Who's your favourite pop diva? Bar Madonna. Whitney Houston. Okay,
really?
you go. You go. I mean, Beyonce.
Look, I'm going to say Beyonce. Beyonce is the next queen for me if I had to choose someone who's not Madonna.
Okay.
But currently it's Dua Lipa. But
you can't. No, don't jinx her.
Why? Why was that jinxing her?
Well, I just feel
she's not great yet.
No, and she's only done 2 albums, so let's calm down. She's for you and I, because for a while we thought Ariana Grande might take the mantle.
I mean, I've got enough love for all of them. Let's not beat around the bush. I mean, it's not it's not like when a new diva comes out, I need to divide my love. I grow more love for them.
True. But for me, it's diversified. The divas have diversified. The divas have been watered down a bit. Because, you've got your Mileys, your Katies, your Taylors, your Aries, your Duas, your Rihannas, your Adeles. There's all sorts of different flavour of diva now. But for me, the true, it was so hard to rise to the top of pop divadom pre-social media because you really had to win the crowds, you know?
You had to get them to go out and physically buy your albums.
Yeah, Billie Eilish could arguably be called a pop diva. Do you know what I mean? So for me, what are we defining as diva? Because none of those girls, Beyonce for me is the last, I realise how much I say for me, really. That's my catchphrase. For me, for mine. Beyonce was the last true, iconic, all-encompassing, every channel dominating diva. There, I said it. I don't think there's been anyone since.
I've got the qualities that I need in a diva, I think are slightly different to yours, because for me, it's, and this is highly controversial, for me, dance ability in some ways is more important to me than vocal ability. Obviously they need to be able to carry a tune. I know, because I guess I'm maybe a little bit more visual or something like that than but also I don't
soulless, you mean.
I mean, obviously
soulless.
I love and respect Kylie Minogue, but I feel like sometimes I should hand in my gay card because I've never been as obsessed with her as I should be. And I think it's because she's just not a great dancer. And obviously Madonna's, she's certainly not the best singer, but far out she could dance. It was incredible. And Beyonce was just such an extraordinary dancer. And I was already obsessed with her, but by the time of Single Ladies and when I saw that video clip, it was just oh, Jesus Christ. So that dancing's important to me. And the other thing that's important to me is I love an evolution, and I love it. I always love with Madonna how, the Madonna that sang Lucky Star was so different from the Madonna that sang Ray of Light. She just had evolved so much, and it feels like you're growing up with her. And I have the same thing with Beyonce. You listen to Destiny's Child, but then you go to Lemonade and just the kind of things she's tackling, for me, that's those are the two essential qualities. Amazing dancer and an amazing evolver, if that's or reinventor, evolver. And
Vulva.
also, they've got to have a quality vulva.
Vulva.
Yeah.
Well, for me, singing ability is very important, obviously. But I'm able to separate my divas into different camps. So, I mean, Whitney, for me, is the ultimate singer. I just said for me again. Now I'm going to be obsessed about not saying it. Because the singing and just she was just so beautiful, and there was so much heartbreak behind her story when you learned it. And I was very drawn to Whitney as a kid, super drawn to Whitney. But then, I don't know, I feel like I have different divas with different flavours. I know we're not allowed to mention Madonna, but obviously Madonna was, as we said, not a great singer, but a great entertainer. And I think the reason I've always tried to, the inspiration behind me putting on all-encompassing shows that aren't just stand-up comedy, but it's singing and dancing and costuming and every time there's a different theme, because of her, I was given permission to do that. But I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard because Adele is considered a great pop diva, but she just stands and sings, which is fine. But you love Adele. You do put her up there. So
Yeah, no, I do.
I mean, I guess
do.
if we have to answer Liam's question, and I'm so glad we didn't make it about Madonna.
I'm so glad we didn't mention her 87 times as we tried to talk about it.
I agree with you. I want to revise my answer. Beyonce, because she does give me the singing. God damn, she gives me the singing. She gives you the dancing. She gives us the reinvention. She gives us the costumes. She gives us the social issues. She gives us the rock solid marriage covered in mystique. You know, the over-the-top mother who we both love following on Instagram, Tina. So I think
And
we
at
just
the
get
forefront of the culture too. Like that's, I mean, not to bring back to Madonna again, but that her in Blonde Ambition in that bullet bra with the muscles was like this striking image that was like it was from the future when she did. And it was from the future. She was ahead of her time. And Beyonce like coming out at the Super Bowl in the Black Panthers thing doing Black Lives Matter when, you know, years before any of this happened. I also like a diva as a vessel for social change.
Same. But an up-and-coming player to watch is definitely Dua Lipa. We are on board for her and looking forward to what the future holds. But let's not place the heavy crown of pop divadom on her head just now. I don't think her shoulders are prepared. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your questions.
Look how passionate we got. It was like an episode of Q&A when we had to discuss the divas. So we needed Hamish McDonald to come in and go, okay, if we could just... The question was, don't mention Madonna. Why are you mentioning her again and again and again? It was quite clear.
I know. Oh, my God. But I feel like Hamish McDonald would also love a diva discussion because I've had some with him. He's not just a news hound, guys. He also loves pop divas. Don't worry about that. I know. I just thought about I so enjoyed that deep dive.
I bet he's a Kylie fan. That's what I'm getting. I don't know why.
Yeah, he might be. I might ask him. He's such a delightful individual. I just want to say I listened to – I know we're ending the podcast. We're very excited about Kylie's forthcoming disco album, but the first track –
Didn't captivate you?
No,
Wasn't
it
the banger
didn't
you were
captivate
after?
me. Not yet. It just felt – maybe it's the slow build. Maybe it's not quite the slap in the face of the disco ball. Maybe this is just like the pre-drinks.
That's
maybe
true.
It's
Maybe,
pre's,
maybe.
And the next track is just going to be insane.
And
but,
ultimately, of course, that we've forgotten – the most fundamental
Gaga.
thing of a diva is bangers.
We forgot Gaga.
Oh,
We forgot Gaga.
no, I know, but
Oh, no, I put Gaga up there.
No, she's up there. Absolutely, she's up there, but she's not taken on Beyonce for me.
I think she's the only person who's come close. True. Think of all the reinvention she had. Think of she had an insane 5 to 10 of just pumping out hits and reinventions and eggs and aliens and she had a very intense. Beyonce's just stretched it out more, but I would say if you had to pick a runner-up to Beyonce,
Yes, no, I would concur.
Gaga.
Yes, absolutely.
Gaga.
She's the vice president, absolutely. But it is for me. There was a little period of time where Gaga, after unleashing so many bangers, had a slight banger drought. But she's come good now.
Totes
She's totally
banger
come good.
drought.
And ultimately that's the secret of Madonna's career is that every 3 years she would just unleash a banger that was so good. It didn't matter what you thought of her at that point. When you heard something like, say, Hung Up or Music or Ray of Light, you just had to become a fan again. You couldn't help it.
But again, not to dwell on Madonna.
No, not to and Beyonce has had that gift for me. Like the first time I heard Formation. Oh, and Crazy in Love is for me the ultimate banger.
No, see, I don't think we're definitely going to
Stop. We're going to stop. Yeah.
I don't think that Deja Vu gets enough credit for being a massive banger. The one she did with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You know, where she's in the bayou in that beautiful dress, walking through the reeds and just flipping around.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Like, honestly, I don't think Deja Vu gets enough credit for the banger it is.
Oh, and for me, Baby Boy is still in my workout mix. That's another slightly under the radar Beyonce banger. Anyway.
All right, thanks for your questions, guys. Thanks, Michael. All right, talk soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.